Okay, greetings and welcome. This is the ThaBadbrey Herbalist Assault. And today I'm going to show you how you can locate lost objects and or missing people or lost animals using Horary Astrology. Now, on Saturday the 12th of November 2016, a friend of mine came to me and asked me, well, she texted me and asked if I will be able to help her locate her lost cat. A cat had gone missing and she wanted help locating the cat. Okay, and asked if I can actually generate a horary chart to help her locate where the cat actually was. All right, and by generating this chart, I was able to use the symbolic nature that is displayed in the chart itself to actually be able to establish exactly where the cat was and where it could be found. And it was found very shortly afterwards. She had been looking for it for the whole day and she couldn't find the cat. But then after I analyzed this chart and sent her the results via text message, she was able to locate the cat. All right. So first thing we do to locate lost objects or anything that is lost, there's four things that we do. Yeah. The first step is this. We need to establish the ground on which the lost object lies upon. By doing that, we look at the fourth house and the sign on the fourth house and the planet that rules the sign on the fourth house. And we analyze that, and that tells us the ground on which the object lies upon. The second step we actually do is we look at the house which symbolizes the actual object lost. So in this case, it's a cat that's been lost. We go to the sixth house and the sign on the cusp of the sixth house and the ruler of that sign on the cusp of the sixth house, and that will symbolize the actual lost cat. Okay, and then we look at the part of fortune and the sign that it's actually in, and then we look at the moon. Those are the four things. So we establish the ground it lies upon by looking at the fourth house. Then we analyze the house which rules the thing which is actually lost. And then we look at the part of fortune and the moon. And by putting all those things together and the symbolic nature and display that is shown as a result of putting all of those testimonies together, that gives you a collage and a picturesque understanding of what has actually occurred and where the object can actually be found. So let's get down to how did I manage to locate the lost cat? Right, start. The fourth house cusp will tell me the ground on which the cat lies upon. All right. The fourth house is over here. This proportion here is the fourth house, and the cusp of the fourth house is on Gemini. All right. Straight away, Gemini in Horary Astrology always symbolizes or alludes to somewhere high up or an upper room of the house, somewhere that is high up. And Gemini, being a bicorporal sign, also symbolizes a place where people frequent quite a lot, or where people spend a lot of time congregating and or playing or indulging in some type of pleasure, like playing a computer game or playing a computer or surfing the internet or some. And also Gemini also symbolizes technology, where mobile phones might be kept, where toys might be kept. All right. So straight away, Gemini is an upper room of the house, somewhere high up and possibly near a window or windowsill of some kind, where objects such as technology, mobile phones, tablets could be kept. All right. And then we look at the ruler of Gemini, which is Mercury. Mercury is over here, and as you can see, it is in the ninth house. Now the ninth house again can symbolize somebody's room. All right. And the reason why is because the ninth house always in astrology symbolizes a place where somebody goes to reflect, also a place where somebody may study, a place where somebody might actually revise for exams, some type of religious institution. So if you relate it to this actual horary chart, it could be a place where somebody goes to meditate. So it could be somebody's bedroom. So again, this tells me that the cat is likely to be somewhere higher. It may have been high up in the house or next to some type of ledge or windowsill in somebody's room. And then Mercury, the ruler of the fourth house, being in between Scorpio and Sagittarius, again, this tells me that the cat is very likely in between. So it may have climbed out of a window or a ledge in somebody's room and may be now in between the places that are symbolized by the two signs that Mercury is actually in between. So Mercury is in between Scorpio and Sagittarius. All right. Now Scorpio alludes to some type of place that has stagnant water, mold, or even waste products. So it could be some type of bins or a place where rubbish is actually kept. The ninth house points to or indicates the color of dark green. So this tells me that the cat may have climbed out of the windowsill in somebody's room, all right, went across a ledge. This line here between Scorpio and Sagittarius could symbolize a ledge that the cat is actually climbing in between. And then you've got the color dark green, which is symbolized by the ninth house. And then you've got Scorpio, which symbolizes waste. So it could be green bins. So this tells me straight away, by putting all of this together, all this symbolism together, tells me that the cat may have climbed out of a window in somebody's room in an upper part of the house, and the cat is now located on top of or in between where rubbish is kept, where green bins actually are. All right, straight away, that's what that actually tells me. Yeah. And then the next thing we actually do is we look at the house which rules the actual thing that's actually lost. In this case, it's the cat. The sixth house symbolizes pets. Okay, so this proportion over here is the sixth house, and it represents the cat itself. The ruler of the sixth house cusp is here, this line here. It's on Cancer, and Cancer is ruled by the moon. So we look to the moon. The moon now represents the cat. The moon is over here in the chart in Aries. All right, the moon over here in the chart in Aries. All right, this tells me that it's very likely that the cat itself was next to some type of heat source prior to leaving out of a window or window ledge and moving towards where green bins are. All right, because Aries is a fire sign which represents heat. Okay, Aries represents heat, and the moon actually being there tells me that's where the cat last was, and that's probably where it's trying to get back to, because the moon represents emotion and an emotional need and an emotional want. So this tells me that the cat is probably trapped over here. And as you can see, Scorpio, where Mercury actually is, which establishes where the cat is, the ground on which the cat lies upon, Scorpio, where Mercury is just leaving, is the fall of the moon. So therefore, the cat may have come out of the window and fallen down or climbed downwards into this area and is looking back up at the ledge from where it came from and longing to actually be there, which is why the moon symbolizing the cat symbolizes the cat's emotion of wanting to be back to where it was before it fell or moved downwards into the area where the bins actually are. So straight away, we can say the cat is next to some green bins, or there may be some green grass next to these green bins, and it climbed out of a window ledge, and on this window ledge may be some type of communication equipment, computer equipment, tablets, mobile phones, and is a place where people frequent, likely a window ledge in somebody's room. And that also, Aries being symbolizing heat, could also symbolize that at this window there's a heat source underneath this window, like a radiator of some kind, and that's where the cat was before it climbed out of it. All right, so then we look to the ruler of Aries. All right, because the moon symbolizes the cat and the moon is in Aries, so we look to the ruler of the sign that the moon is in, and the ruler of Aries is Mars. As you can see, Mars is over here, all right, in the 12th house. The 12th house represents hidden areas and places where people are unable to view in a way that is clear to them. It symbolizes a place that is hidden from sight. All right, so you got Mars over here in Aquarius. Now, not only does Aquarius represent a upper part of the house or some type of window, because it's an air sign which represents an upper part of the house, also if you look at the actual symbolism of Aquarius itself, Aquarius, you can see that these lines here actually look like heat. All right. Now, if you look out the window on a summer's day when it's very, very hot, you actually see what looks like a haze of some kind, which causes a mirage effect upon the image you are looking at. And this haze or mirage is very symbolic or very similar to the sign of Aquarius. So this tells me again, being that the ruler of Aries is in Aquarius, tells me that Aries being a heat source and Aquarius, the symbol of Aquarius, the glyph of Aquarius symbolizing actual heat coming up from a heat source, tells me again the cat may have climbed out of a window where a radiator actually is and fell or climbed downwards into an area where green bins are, all right, where waste products actually are. And then we look to the ruler of Aquarius because Mars is in Aquarius. So we look to the ruler of Aquarius, which is Saturn. Saturn is right over here in between the 9th and 10th house, all right. So straight away this tells me that is very likely, because again this tells me that this is something in between. The cat is in between, it's on the ledge, it's in between somewhere, all right. And Saturn is just about to change from the 9th house into the 10th house, all right. So straight away the 9th house symbolizes the color of dark green and the 10th house symbolizes the color of light red or pinkish, all right. So this tells me again this tells me again that the cat is very likely next to some green grass or some green bins next to where waste products or rubbish is actually kept. And also because Saturn is over here on the cusp of the 10th house, which symbolizes light red or pinkish, it tells me that next to these green bins or green grass there may be some type of building that has red bricks on it. So this tells me straight away, looking at all of this and putting all the symbolism together, it gave me a good idea of where the cat actually was. Yeah. The next thing, look at the part of fortune. The part of fortune is over here, all right. And the part of fortune is actually in Cancer again, which leads me back to the moon, which leads me back to Mars, which leads me back to Saturn again, which is the same place. All right. And then we look to the moon, and the moon, which we already established, is in Aries. And the ruler of Aries is Mars, and Mars is in Aquarius. This is the radiator, this is the heat source, and this is the heat coming up from the radiator. Then the ruler of Aquarius is Saturn, which is over here. Again, this points, Sagittarius points towards a heat source as well, all right? So it may be, straight away I looked at it and I was like, okay, this is what I can see, yeah? The cat was in somebody's room next to a radiator, climbed out of the window, may have fallen down or climbed downwards into an area where rubbish is kept, where green bins are or green grass, and that next to this green grass and green bins is a building that has red bricks, okay, and quite possibly it has a heat source inside or situated next to those red bricks. So it may be some type of electrical, a place that has the actual supply for the electricity for the whole building or the whole block, and it may be situated inside those red bricks next to where those green bins actually are. So after looking at it, that's what I established. Yeah. Now it took me a while to explain this, but when I was actually looking at it on the day, I came to the conclusion within, I think it was within 3 to 5 minutes. All right. And I got back to the person who asked me the question, and let me find the text. Okay, this is the text I sent. Now also, Sagittarius, where Saturn actually is, in this chart, symbolizes the direction of southeast. All right. So this is what I said in the text to let them find the cat. I said, look to the southwest direction. In the text I said southwest, I actually meant southeast, but I said look to the southwest direction of the house where a window overlooks a heat source, a radiator of some kind, and that the cat may have climbed out of the window. When peering out of this window and looking down, you must cast your eyes towards the area where something green, like green bushes or green bins, can be seen. And next to this green area is another reddish object that may be part of the building. Around this area is where the cat is likely to be found. And that's the text I sent, all right, after analyzing this chart. And then it was like about 20 minutes later, I get a text back from this person and they said, "Thank you so much. We found her. We found the cat. We found her exactly where you said. Thank you so much." Okay? So, this is how horary astrology can be used for very, very practical things. All right? Now, astrology can be used for a multitude of different things, but for me, if you can't use it for something practical that can help you practically in your everyday practical life, it seems like a waste of time. I only use astrology if it's 100% practical, all right? And as I've demonstrated here, you can use astrology to locate lost objects, missing pets, missing people, all right? And if you know what you're doing, you can become extremely efficient at it, all right? That's it. ThaBadbrey Herbalist, ancient astrologer.